As a home care owner, I know you're probably looking for what are ways to grow your income? What are ways to diversify your revenue streams? And how can you do it while making more profit with less staff and also have way more predictable scheduling? That's what we're going to be talking about today because we're going to be talking about fractional community based home care here at the Action Cast. Hey, home care owners, I am so excited to bring not just a topic, but a true growth strategy to you. And that is all about how can you make more money and make a bigger impact with community-based care. And I have not only a friend, but as someone who has lived, breathed, and blazed the path to community-based home care. And I have Gina Murray. Welcome to today's Action Cast. You're the co-founder, you and your husband, Tim. Love that you're a power couple doing powerful things. But you are the owner and founder and creative designer of Cinch CCM. So tell us a little bit, real quickly, who you are and why community care, and why have you dove into what you're doing now? Share with us.
Oh, thanks so much, Jessica. Nice to be here. So Tim and I, 2014, decided that we were called to start a home care agency, quit our jobs, and that's what we did. We started a private home care agency. And 2 years later, community said to us, gosh, we really need help. The agency that's here is not really working out. Can you help us? And we're like, well, this is great. How hard can this possibly be? Excuse me. And we jumped in, and Tim is seeing this great recurring revenue stream. He's looking at the numbers, he's loving it. And I'm ready to pull my hair out because our software couldn't manage it. It was completely different. And while I loved it, I'm a nurse. I just loved having a couple of caregivers in one place. It was wonderful, but we just had no ability to manage it. And so I said, if we're going to keep doing this, you have to build me something. And we started, and that's where Cinch came from. We built this technology specifically for home care, community-based home care.
I love that. So let's talk about fractional community-based home care, because that's a term that not many home care owners know about. It's a term that not many industry leaders are even using. And a lot of it is due to providing non-medical home care inside of a senior living community is not new, right? It's been done for years. And unfortunately, it hasn't been done very well. Like you said, it leads to a lot of inconsistencies and pulling out your hair because you're staffing short shifts. So just to kick this off, let's talk about what is fractional community-based care and how does it work?
So the beauty of fractional-based community home care is that you can provide short visits. And I'm talking 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes to people. So you give them exactly what they need. They live in a community that might provide dining services, housekeeping, transportation. So of the other pieces of home care, but they can't help them with showers, medication reminders, escorts. So basically they need a partner to provide those services. Hey, we're home care agency owners, no caregivers going anywhere for half an hour. But if you can get enough people, enough of the residents need just little bits, all you have to do is create the Tetris puzzle, put it all together, and you're serving this tremendous need, keeping them where they want to be, keeping couples together. One doesn't have to move to assisted living because you can help them stay together.
Yeah, and I love that. And our experience with doing fractional community-based care actually started with us going into a community. We started providing 24-hour care for a client who had a fall in an independent living community. He needed that around-the-clock care. And about 2 weeks in, the family come to us and they said, this is expensive. And we're not needing you every moment of every single day, but we do need you at those high need times. And we told them, we were like, well, we realize the cost of this. And we told them, we said, well, why don't you see if there's 3 or 4 other clients in the community that could also utilize our care, and maybe you guys could share the cost of a caregiver. And so sure enough, within a few days, he called and he said, "Hey, I've got 3 other their clients. Some of them aren't needing 24-hour care, but they're needing, a few visits a day to really meet their needs." And so we sat down with the community and we sat down with the families, and we said, "Okay, well, let's do a whole new concept." Um, because this community actually had an agency in there, and it was an agency that had a national contract with a senior chain, and um, they the community wasn't very happy. The home care
Mhm.
agency themselves, they had already kind of really pulled out altogether because it wasn't profitable. There had been a lot of broken trust because caregivers weren't showing up and the invoices weren't reflecting what they were expecting it to reflect, and all the things that comes with scheduling caregivers for clients in 7-minute increments, right? That can be tough. And so we started what we began calling is concierge membership care, where we would provide care, and there was 3 different membership tiers. And very, very quickly, we were able to like have a caregiver be in the community from 8 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. We had caregivers there on site. It was much more easier to staff, much easier to schedule. Our profit margins were much higher than what it was in our home care. And we were like, okay, we're on to something. The community was happy. We were happy. The Our staff was happy. And so that's whenever we really said, okay, we want to figure out this care model within senior living communities. So whenever you're talking about fractional community-based care, it's where we're offering home care under the same roof, in the same lot, or on the same ship. So it is those community, independent living communities. It's sometimes the senior living cottages where they're all grouped together. And we have also been a part of the strategy for providing care on a senior retirement cruise ship, which I don't think many of us are interested
Ooh.
in that. But we do this model within that, or at least consult on that type of model. So uh, when it comes from like the difference, Gina, when we talk about traditional home care and then we talk about independent living community, someone asked the other day, they were like, is this fractional community based home care, does it replace traditional home care, or is it a completely separate diversified line of revenue?
No, it doesn't replace it. I don't think anything's going to replace it, traditional home care, but it's a great separate business line. And it needs to be run differently too, managed differently, but it's a great add-on to your business.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's really important to understand is as a home care owner, as a home care agency, when you're looking at adding in something like fractional community-based home care, it is important to understand that it is a diversified revenue stream, or it could be its own business within itself. We like to put it as an enhancement of our service line because we still offer traditional home care. We even offer traditional home care within the communities that we support because some clients still need that one-on-one caregiver providing care for just them. Because I do think that's something that's important to understand is with fractional community-based home care, you have one caregiver who can serve 8 to 10 clients on the same shift.
Yeah,
Is
right.
is that something, and whenever it comes to ratios of, obviously in senior living communities, sometimes we can have, 30 to all the way up to 300 clients in the same community, right? Um, is there a ratio that you've seen the work best with how many caregivers on shift to the ratio of clients that are enrolled in your services?
I think it depends on the acuity of the building.
Mhm.
We had a community where people basically had 2 visits a day, some had 3, some had 2 visits a week. So we could have more clients with fewer caregivers in that community. And we had another community where most of them had at least 4 to 6 visits every single day. So we
Mhm.
have many more caregivers. I think it's based on the number of client visits that they
Yeah.
need. And as you find it, as a community grows older and the residents have been there longer, the acuity gets higher and higher. We would work with hospice. So
Mhm.
we did hybrid where you might need me a caregiver 8 hours during the day, but then we could do pop-in visits overnight. So they had both the traditional and the fractional care at the same time.
Yeah.
It's hard to put a number on caregivers to clients.
Yeah. And I know the other day, you and Tim asked me to be a part of a panel where we were joined by George and Mike, two incredible home care owners and leaders who are doing awesome things within the senior care community space, offering this type of services. And for those of you that's listening, we'll drop that replay link because I think Tim and George and Mike did such an incredible job. And one of the biggest questions that come in and a lot of what they spoke to was, how does fractional community based home care, how does it increase your profitability? Because that's one of the things that we've noticed, and it was kind of the theme across our discussion the other day, was we have much higher profit margins within community based care. And Gina, I know you and Tim spoke to that as well. How do we have increased profitability within a model where it's all about short shifts and just minutes at a time of popping in?
Right. So you really have to price it appropriately. You have to take a look at the service that you're providing. I mean, home care typically has minimums. Even if your minimum is 2 hours, if I only need a shower, why do I want to pay for 2 hours of a caregiver coming in? So
Yeah.
when you price your, whether you do it by, the time or membership, you price it appropriately so that you do have those margins. A 30-minute shower, we would charge $30.
Mhm.
So we were not charging $60 an hour for, traditional home care, but you price it appropriately to meet the margins, and then you schedule it effectively. We would guide non-essential time essentials. If you want help tidying your apartment, that wasn't going to be done at 8 o'clock in the morning when everybody wants help getting up and dressed and showered.
Yeah.
So it's scheduling efficiently and really looking at how you price your services.
Yeah, and I think that's really is such an important point, is really having a strategy, and thinking about this as a business concept. Because once again, providing home care in communities is not a new thing. There's been home care agencies in communities providing these minutes at a time of care for a long time, but their biggest complaint has been there's no profit margins and it's a scheduling nightmare. So that is where having a strategy comes in and really pricing it strategically. And that really goes to the different pricing models. I know that the way that we do, we do our community care, the way that we started it out, and the way that we coach our action leaders and our coaching clients, is we teach them to do it in a way that can be consistent, that can be communicated easily and simply. So for us, we have two different models that we really support and we coach and have kind of blazed a trail in, and that's the membership model, to whereas in home care you're charging by the hour, whereas in our community care it's a membership where if you need us a little bit, if you visits a week, every week, then it may start at $250 for the entire month, and it's just a reoccurring payment every single month. Or if you need us coming in multiple times per day, every day of the week, and reoccurring every single month, then that could be, $1,600 to $2,000 for that membership for the month. And it's not time based, meaning this is how many visits that you can expect us to be there every single day, but we're here to meet the overall need. So we're not going to charge you in minutes, and we're not going to nickel and dime you or give you any surprise rates. if we see that the need increases, we can then talk about other solutions. But this is what this membership model will cover. And it was so much more easier to overall manage and really create a great expectation. They knew what to expect. They understood the communication. It seemed much more simple. I mean, everybody has Netflix and membership models and all of that now, so it wasn't a new concept. So that's really the way we rolled out. We've never ever charged for 7 minutes in a community before. We started out with the membership model. Well, and we quickly realized not everybody wants to commit to every week and every single month, right? They don't want to commit to the membership model. So we began offering units of care, and we would say we tailor this to what you need. So whether you need 15 minutes of care, um, occasionally, then we would sell them in packaged units of you can pre-purchase 5 shifts of 15 minutes. So that's 5 units or 15 units or 30 units. Each unit is equivalent to about 15 minutes of care, and they could pre-buy it that way. And it was a really good way for them to kind of ease into the service without over committing. And we found that that was very easy to manage, very easy to bill, invoice. People enjoyed feeling like, okay, well, I can do 5 minute, 5 15-minute shifts. I can pay for that. It's a low cost investment up front, and that peace of mind of knowing it's there when I need it worked for us. I know for you and your model, you did something different and had a lot of success with that. So I would love for you to share kind of the model of how you guys did it in your business.
So in our first community, like I said, an agency left. So there were about 20, 25 people who were left with no service. So in speaking with them, nearly all of them needed service every day. They needed help getting dressed in the morning and in the evening, getting back and forth to meals. So, meeting with each one of them, we said, all right, so it sounds like you need 3 visits a day around this time. And we built it from there. We did 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And we would say it's up to. So that means if they stay to 20 minutes, that's okay. And they might leave at 12 minutes. So we built it, very flexible. So because this population needed consistent care, we built their schedule so they were consistent. So they knew, hey, you should expect your caregiver. You have a 7 o'clock visit, and we would say no earlier than 6:45, but no later than 7:15 because things happen in the community. And then for the other one, the clients that just kind of wanted a PRN kind of thing, we just charged a very low monthly fee. And then I said, just understand that we may have to offer a different time. If you say, I need an 8 o'clock visit tomorrow, may not be able to do that. Let me see what time I can give you. So their visit schedules were a little more flexible but they wanted to be on service in case they needed it. So we did strictly time-based initially with our folks. And then whatever you wanted in your 30 minutes. So we had one lady, she wanted medication reminder only. She said, I need 30 minutes. And I said, I don't think that's probably necessary. She said, well, you know what? My husband has passed away, and he and I used to sit and have tea in the mornings and just talk. And I would love if she could just come and give me my medicines, but also just spend a little time with me. So I said, that's fine. That's what she needed. And, and it was a wonderful thing. And she graduated out of it, which was great too, to just a medication reminder. But it's the minutes were, what do you need during this time of the day? And we will custom it, custom tasks to what you need.
Yeah, I love that. And we did something very similar, obviously, with the memberships and the units. If you were requesting a unit, we did need a 48-hour notice. We would try if it was less, but that was our guarantee. But then also with the memberships, it was they knew within a window of time, this is the times the caregivers would be coming in a window of time. And they would be there until the task was completed. So it wasn't time-based, it was task-based, and it was outcome-based. And we did that because we felt like that we could manage it on the back end easier. Because obviously we had a great scheduling software for traditional home care. What we did not have is a great software to manage, internally the community care, because you've got one caregiver clocked into a community shift, but she is seeing multiple clients. So in the same 8-hour shift, she may have done 30 check-ins with, 10 different clients. And she needed to be able to make notes if I was here for this long and this is what I did and this was the task and this was the condition of the client. And she needed to be able to communicate that. And because we didn't have a really efficient way to do that, the way that you talk about like billing for a little bit of time here and there, and like we wasn't even ready or willing to jump into what we felt like would have been an absolutely scheduling communication nightmare, that we've heard so many other people say, avoid community care because it's a scheduling nightmare and it'll ruin your reputation. And I love that you guys jumped in and you began offering care in a similar model that the way a lot of people have done, and very quickly. And the way you even mentioned at the beginning of this action cast, as you said, like very quickly within it, you were like, oh my God, you're pulling your hair out. But you didn't just exit.
Right.
You said, we've got to create the tool. Like we've got to create a better way to manage back-end operations and back-end scheduling and back-end communication. And I would kind of love for you to speak to, as a home care owner, and you're a lot like me, you're all about the care. You're nurse first, caregiver first, all about the touch points, the human connection. And the next thing you know, you're like deep into creating a software with technology and coding and probably using words and numbers and phrases you never even thought you would ever even need to know what they meant. Tell me how that happened, going from community care to designing a software to make community care so much more easier.
Yeah, it's my husband Tim. I will tell you, he before we started our agency, he ran a worldwide software company. So that is his background. So when I said we're done, we can't do this anymore, he said no. Let me get together with some friends. Let me just talk to people. We can make this work. This would probably take 4 to 6 months. Well, that was 2018, and so he said, "What do you need? What do you need?" Like, I needed to do this. I would talk to the caregivers. And as we got it started, his friend said, he goes, okay, what's the project called? And I'm like, what do you want to call this? And I'm like, I don't know. I just know that I'm a nurse. This needs to be easy. It needs to be a cinch. So that's actually where the name came from. It's like, it just needs to be simple. So we started cobbling together Outlook calendar, Acuity, and I'm all about the regulations. North Carolina has a lot of regulations. So I like, we have to meet all these regulations. It needs to do this. And so 6 months turned into a year, another year. And then we were like, okay, we need real developers so it's been an evolution. We launched it. So we have two small communities. And in February of 2020, this very large community called us, and they had 150 residents, but 90 on service with their current agency. And they were going to ask the agency to leave. And so I was like, oh, this is great. Okay. And I'm like, does this cinch thing work? Because we launched cinch in March of 2020. And in April of 2020, just as the world was shutting down, this large community says, we'd really like you to come in and take over these 90 clients. I'm like, sure, I've got a software that's a whole month old that I'm sure is going to work. And we did a 3-month turnover and took over in the middle of COVID, a large, wonderful community. And it was one of the hardest things we've done, but it was one of the greatest things we've done. And
I think that's incredible. And I mean, I want to thank you because you didn't just create the software and say, oh, okay, now we can corner this entire market. And like, we're about to own every assisted, independent living community out there. Instead, you said, oh my gosh, this is such a life changer. How do I get this into other home care owners' hands? Like, they need this. They're struggling. Like, that was because Tim actually reached out to me in 2020 and was like, we're working on this thing, because at that point in time, we were still talking about community care a lot. We were opening up more communities. We were sharing photos within the home care owners community. And at that point in time, we hadn't rolled out what now is home care ops and this huge network. but it was in the, the baby phases of that. And so we were talking about community care a lot. And I was pushing the model of like, this is like this membership model in home care is truly life changing. Like profits are higher. We can do tons of revenue with like literally six caregivers. And but I very quickly silenced that message because we were putting people into we were giving them the strategy and the marketing concept, but on the back end trying to get them to piece together how to efficiently run communities, especially if they were doing the model to where it was just a few minutes at a time. It was really challenging, and we wanted people to grow, not be distracted by a shiny object. So I want to thank you guys because now I can talk about the impact that fractional community based home care can be and has been for us, and also say, and here is a resource, here is a tool that will make it easier. Because like you, I also have a husband that I'm like, hey, I want to do this thing, and he's like, okay, I can make it happen. I'm the tech guy, I'm the digital guy. I am not though. So that was not a place of comfort for me. So for anybody listening right now and you're like, I'm already doing community-based care, make sure that you connect with Gina and Tim. I will, like, their software will absolutely change the efficiency of your offering. And if you're thinking about getting into community-based care, they really should be your first call, because fractional community based home care, it is managed and run differently than your traditional home care. So right now, we haven't found a operating system that specializes in home care scheduling that really supports the complexities and the flexibilities needed within community care. And that really leads me to one of the most common questions that we get, and that is, how do we manage caregivers doing multiple short shifts within the same location?
So that we built Cinch specifically for this. We had WellSky for our traditional. We loved it. That's great, but it didn't do this. So Cinch builds what we call caregiver assignments. So we take all those little pieces, all those little client visits, and you organize them not only by the start time, but where they are in the community. So you don't have, I'm going to run from the first floor to the fourth floor to the West Wing, back and forth. This is where you use your caregivers. You can show them, you put all the visits up there and you arrange them. So I come in and I've got a whole list of visits, and I've got my specific task sheet for each one of those visits at the ready. So I know 7 o'clock when I come in, there's Sarah Adams in apartment 101. I go to 105 at 7:30, and it just builds it. We also built Cinch Open. So this is my list, and these are my visits. And on the mobile app, I see my list. But if my teammate messages me on the app and says, hey, my client's on the floor, I need help, can someone do my 9 o'clock visit? I can toggle over. And if I open her visit, it'll document as me. So they can work as a team. They can help each other out. Dining service is running late. Can you pick up Mrs. Smith's breakfast when you get Mr. Jones? Sure. And I can document that I did that. So we built it for teamwork, for the teamwork that needs to happen in communities if you have more than one caregiver there.
That's incredible, because that was really the complexity that whenever we started communities, there wasn't a cinch that we could do it in a cinch, right? So the overall scheduling of the caregivers themselves wasn't difficult. We literally just said, okay, we've got caregivers scheduled. You come in at 8 in the morning, you're scheduled from 8 to 3. And then we would have someone come in and stay from 3 to 9. And that was the schedule. That was the caregiver schedule. It was simple. It was straightforward. They knew where they were going to be there. We knew they were going to be there. But it was then that caregiver, they would have to almost manually, till we created our own internal kind of jury rig system, so that they could manage internally what client was where and who, and the care plans and the important notes, and then notating and letting the family know and keeping them in the loop of everything. So I really love that your system takes all of that in consideration. And something that Mike and George was saying the other day on the panel discussion that we had is, you could tell that this was a software built by someone who truly understood the ins and out of delivery. not just software creation or technology innovation, but the actual delivery of making it happen. So, managing caregivers in a community is actually fairly easy because they just have their regular, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12-hour shifts, whatever, you schedule you choose to schedule them. But it's this them then managing the schedule of their own clients that can sometimes get a little gray area. And that really leads us to how does this model affect caregiver recruitment and retention?
Well,
So
yeah, we were really surprised. Once we got Cinch in place, this we had the highest caregiver retention in our communities.
yeah,
They loved it. Once they had the tools, they had the information they needed, they could work together. They loved it. Their biggest frustration was not having what they needed.
yeah,
So now they're working together, they've got their schedules, they can give us input. It was really shocking. They like having consistent hours. So a client stops service in a community, they don't lose their paycheck.
yeah,
Where 24/7 hour client dies, I suddenly have to make sure this wonderful team, has a new client. So
yeah,
they never worried about, losing their hours. They liked the teamwork. It was really wonderful. We had a list. We never had a problem staffing our community care. And actually, the more buildings we had, we built a big pool, and it was our most popular place. Yeah, we went back
yeah,
not long ago, and 5, 6 years later, in that building, most of our caregivers that worked for our agency are still there.
yeah.
Still there working.
We had the exact same response that our caregiver recruitment and retention has skyrocketed, to the point that you most of our caregivers who were like rock stars within our traditional home care, we made it to where their performance and the amount of like testimonials and feedback that we got from our traditional home care clients would make them eligible to move into the community. So you had to be a care lead to be in a community. And then also there was more revenue incentive because you got paid, your hourly wage. But then for every new client that you signed on into the community, you would get $100. And I mean, they're literally talking with all of these different residents that are not clients yet. And so they would always, they would see someone struggling to get down to the dinner table, or they would, a senior who maybe they smiled at and talked to every day hadn't come down for 3 or 4 days, to lunch or an activity, and they would be knocking on their door. Not only because they cared, but also because if they signed that senior on, then that would financially, be a benefit to them. So they loved having that. So recruitment and retention is something that improved greatly, and it give even our traditional home care caregivers something to look forward to and aspire to be promoted up into. So, and then with structuring shifts. So whenever we're structuring shifts in a community, do you feel like that structuring these shifts in the community, it runs even more smoothly, or is it more challenging than traditional home care?
The shifts for the caregivers.
Mm-hmm.
No, I thought it's very smooth. It's the changes in the client visits did not really affect their shift.
Yeah.
And
Within your community, now sometimes we had some clients that were a little bit more needy. So sometimes we would schedule our caregivers to where we had more caregivers stacked in the same hour or two, right?
right.
Did y'all also do some stacking like that where you had some areas of the day that had a lot more caregivers because there was a lot more acuity needs, or you just had more clients requesting that window of time?
Yes, we the mornings and the evenings. So everybody wants that 7 or 8 o'clock visit in the morning. So we had a lead caregiver that would work maybe 6 to 2, and then the other two that came in at 6, they may have only worked to 11 or 12. Once that morning care, get to lunch, they really didn't need anything. Block of time. So the lead caregiver would stay till 2, and then the afternoon one would come in maybe at 4.
Mm-hmm.
Start to help get people to dinner. And then the second one would come in maybe at 6 to start. So you'd have 2 or 3 in the evening to help with it. getting ready for bed. So we did. They're like, well, I mean, we had a customer sign on, and they had 3 caregivers in the morning and 2 in the evening, and they were working 7 to 3 and 3 to 11. And I've said, when they put their client visits in Cinch so they could see, they were like, oh my gosh. And they're like, well, how did you do this? I said, well, we had one that would work 8 hours, but the other two worked, maybe 4, 5, or 6. So we look for people who are looking for part-time hours. We
Yeah.
didn't guarantee full-time hours. And it was quite eye-opening to them that, oh, you can do that? It doesn't have to, I was like, it doesn't have to be 8 hours. What is the business drive? What does the business need?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, exactly. And we did the exact same thing. And I do feel like that our community was by far the easiest. Like once we got a schedule created, we rarely ever shift the schedule. Only the only shifting we did is as we were expanding and getting more clients, we would have to add more caregivers to the schedule. So um, and when it comes to marketing, so obviously fractional community-based home care is something that all your market is under one roof once you get in there. First,
right.
you've got to get into the communities, and a lot of times getting into the communities themselves, either you already have a good relationship with a community, meaning that maybe you've provided private care to a client within the community, or you've been networking and you have a resource partner within the community. So just getting in the door of a community, how, like you shared your story, but also now you're supporting home care agencies all across the nation as they're providing care in communities. What is the most common way that you're seeing people are getting in the door as the in-house or on location home care agency within these senior living communities?
So we coach them that if you go in and they have an agency, and if they're not happy, what could how can they be a better partner? What are you looking for in a partner? What would it be? And the executive director said, look, we have so many people go to the hospital and they never come back. They just disappear, or they're coming back on a Friday, and the agency says, well, Monday I'll come out and do an assessment and see. He said, if you could tell me you would take care of my people, you would follow them, and if they need to go to a higher level of care, that's completely understandable. But if you could bring them back, that would be great. So if I call you Friday at 5 o'clock, you'll send somebody and you'll start care Friday. And they said, done, we'll do it. So they got ready. So they were always prepared for a 24/7. By Wednesday, they're just like, it's going to happen Friday or Saturday morning that they're going to get that call. And they got the business, and they're thriving because they met the pain point of where the executive director was. He's like, nope. They followed. They got to know the hospital discharge folks and said, if you're going back to this building, contact us. We're there 24/7. So let us see, of course, if they need to go to rehab, we understand. But if you're sending to assisted living, can we provide that level of assistance? There are certain things that knock you out of the box, but assisted living, nobody's standing there looking at the person for 24 hours. They're coming in checking. We can do that. We can help them dress. We can help them take their medicines. We can.
Yeah.
And so they got that, and very successful. Like, oh, because that was what he wanted. He said, I'm losing my people, and I want you to serve them well.
Yeah.
And then you're the go-to person for their 24/7 care too, for all the traditional care. So
Yeah, and that's exactly the way, which within our coaching program, like a lot of our home care agencies are already working inside of an independent living community. They're having one of their caregivers go in and privately provide care for um, a resident there, because that resident doesn't want to move from their independent living setting. So it's really an easy in to be able to go in and say, hey, like, you work so hard to get people in the front door, we want to help you shut the back door. And to be able to have that type of terminology, and to be able to say, and we actually specialized in fractional community-based home care services. We understand what your people need. We understand that it needs to feel like a concierge service that is helping them maintain their level of independence, not having a caregiver come in and take care of them because they're getting too old. And like, it's the messaging, it's the how you're doing the packaging. And I know for us, with us having the concierge memberships and the 3 levels of memberships within our communities, we have a social night, and it's like a social club, and we do it once a month, and only our members get a gold card, but they also get 1 gold ticket that they can share with a friend that is not in the social club to bring them in. And it's like the big thing in the community, whether it be a wine night or bringing in music and all of that, for the people in the social club to feel like they are in the inner circle. They don't ever think that they're in the inner circle of the old folks club, right? Like, they feel like this is a concierge service. And then the age demographic that we're working with, that works very, very well. So whenever we position that to these communities and they see that we have a strategy, we have a marketing strategy, we have a benefit strategy for them, we understand their pain points, and we understand the psychology needs of the residents that are there, then even if there is another contracted home care agency, unless that home care agency is doing a heck of a good job, then they say, we need to consider this. Like, let's explore this. Let's talk about this. And then we say, just give us 3 referrals. And if we have 3 referrals, we'll be able to begin this model, and we'll test it out for 90 days. And it's something that it seems low commitment to them. We're not saying you need to throw out this other agency. We're saying, give us 3, let's test the model. And that's something that we coach our clients on how to do that, how to put the packaging together. What should your membership packages look like? What should your terminology look like? What should your service agreement and your care plans? Even the care plans look differently in community-based care than it does in home care. So I love it. As you can tell, if I could talk about this all the time, I would. And Gina, since you and Tim have created a software tool that I can be like, I'm going to teach you all the strategy, and I'm going to tell you about all the opportunity, and then I'm going to plug you into a tool to actually make it happen. And I love that I have the ability to do that now, because I do feel like that this is the new direction that home care is going, because there's over 60 million people over the age of 65 right now. The new census in the US, there's over 60 million people over the age of 65. There's only 30,000 home care agencies. So if you break that down, that's over 2,000 clients per agency in the nation, just to take care of the demand that's going to be here over the next 20 years. So that means that's 6,000 caregivers that every single home care agency is going to have to employ to be able to support that type of need. We don't have the human manpower in the United States to support that type of demand. But by providing something like fractional community-based care, where 1 caregiver can effectively provide care for 8, 10, 12 clients at one time, while they're helping them to remain independent, is huge. And so I think that's why it's such a great diversified revenue stream for home care owners to really be exploring.
Yeah, and the resources. You think about conserving their resources. You're not paying for 4 hours at a time. You're paying for short bits of time, and it saves them, and so they can remain there. That saves their resources. It keeps them healthy. It's just a win-win all around.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I absolutely love this. And I know that we're going to have so many more questions come in, and me and Gina we'll be checking the comments after this. I'm really terrible about being able to read the comments and talk. I already go longer on these action casts than Katie or Clint do, but I love these conversations. And Gina, and I love that you're on here, because you're literally sharing your experience from a learned and earned experience. I've done it the hard way so many times that I'm now making it easier for other people. And I think that is the most valuable experience, and the most valuable investment that people can do is learn from people who have learned how to do it better already. So I'm sure one of the biggest questions people are going to have is, how do I know my agency is ready to do something like this? And so when Whenever you're talking to other home care owners that are saying, how do I know that I'm ready, or is this the right time? What do you usually tell them?
Um, when they think, oh, we're thinking about doing this, we'd like to look at this. What do you think? When we ask them how are their operations? How is their office running? Do they have processes in place for traditional home care?
Yes.
I'm a process person. I write regulations, so I'm like, is that running smoothly or as smoothly as it can be? Because you're going to need to come up with a set of processes for this type. So if you're still pulling your hair out, don't really have a good grip on running your traditional care, do you know your numbers, how profitable you are, you might want to you know, get that solid first before you jump into another. And do you have staff that's willing to do this? Like, hey, we're excited about this, we're looking into this, or are you short staffed and you're having trouble staffing? So I would look at their how they're running the organization first.
I love that so much. That is the perfect answer. And I love that at the same time, back in 2020, you guys dove into creating Cinch, which is that operational software that makes community care, I feel like, so much more attainable and doable, and a profitable revenue stream for so many home care owners. And at that same time, we were helping home care owners to run more profitable, better operations, better systems, better teams in their home care agencies, so they could be prepared and ready to diversify their revenue streams. So I'm excited for the clients, and we've been blessed to be able to coach hundreds of clients over just the past 4 years. I'm excited for them to begin exploring this community-based home care, and even for the home care agencies out there who maybe they're still working on operations, and they're still working on their team, and they're still trying to figure out structured scheduling and growing more efficiently. There's a statement that Clint says all the time, and I think this is the perfect place to say it, is get good at one thing and then get great at two. Really focus in and get good at traditional home care with the mindset of, I need to get better at this. I need to make this repeatable. I need to make this sustainable. I need to take the extra 10 minutes to actually teach and train my team on how to do this right, rather than me just being willing and to put out the fires that I know that's going to happen the extra 10 minutes. And look forward to knowing that running an efficient business, an efficient traditional home care business, will accelerate how quickly that you can begin diversifying your revenue streams. And I do feel like that community-based home care is a excellent revenue stream to really enhance traditional home care. And so, and with that in mind, as far as the next steps for those people who are like, I'm ready. My operations is good. I've been looking for expansion strategies. I'm ready to I have someone on my team who could oversee a community care. They could run point on that, and they're like, I am so ready. What is the very next step that they should do to begin rolling out community-based care in the next 30 days?
I think it would be, excuse me, I apologize. Looking at the communities in your area. I always
I'll get you a drink of water. And
sorry.
No, I do the same. I do the same thing all the time.
So knowing the communities, do they have agencies? Do they not? I also tell them to do research on the assisted livings in their area, know what they charge for rent, what the levels of care cost, because that's the competition. Is moving from independent is assisted living, and it's just like, do they really need that? So I would say, so we would be able to sit down with residents and say, 3 visits a day cost this, which was a cost about this for a month. This is what your cost would be. If you lived in assisted living, your rent would be a little bit higher, would be this. The cost of those services would be this, and it's significantly higher. So you can have these services remain here for less cost and then remain in the home that you want to remain in. So
Yeah.
I think it's really important. And, just like not every community has the same level of affluence, same thing with assisted living. So you have to compare apples to apples. So we knew our communities, they lived in this community, they usually went to one of these assisted livings. So that I know in the research, if you're going hunting, we looked for older communities. People have lived there longer. I've lived there now 6, 7, 8 years. I really don't want to move just because I now need care.
Yeah.
So we call them ripe. They're a little bit more ripe if they have. Um, but then we had brand new community ask us to be the on-site partner as they were opening up. There were so many other communities opening up that they started taking folks that were less than independent because our services were going to be there. So
Yes.
they're like, you can move in here because look, we have this agency that can provide these services.
Yeah.
So,
That's a huge unique identifier that has been super profitable for us as well. And I really think it comes down to there's three things that you need to do. You need to do the research, like Gina was just saying, do the research, and then create the strategy. You need to have the strategy of what does your model look like? How is it going to run? How do you need to set it up? How are you going to market it? What is your unique identifier? What type of vibe and feel do you want it to be? Understanding the communities that you're going in, and being complimentary and feeling like an extension of their support team. How does that look and feel? Really having the strategy. And that's something that in our coaching program and action leaders, you have access to the templates and in the marketing strategy, and in home care boardroom, like we help agencies to roll that out. And the strategy is so important. And then the third thing, and I think that it's truly key, to actually delivering, because great ideas and great strategy and great plans, and even a great process is all wonderful and good, but efficiency and execution is what is actually going to make people money, and it's going to build great brand, reputation, because then you'll be delivering well, delivering consistently. I think it comes down to the tools. Make sure that you have the tools that will support that. And for those of you that know me, you know that I rarely, very publicly endorse other software and other solutions. Um, and I will say that, Gina and Tim, like the system that you guys have built, I've not heard one person say one negative thing. And I will tell you, the panel the other day, they were so adamant of like, I wouldn't even do it. Don't do it until you call Gina and Tim. So do the research, get the strategy, and make sure you get plugged into a tool that will truly help you deliver this well, because it is an investment, right? This business is an investment. Any good business worth being in requires an investment. If you're willing to do the work, you're willing to invest, um, to have a really profitable, diversified revenue stream, then you've got your three next steps. Do the research, get the strategy, get the tools. And Gina, what is the best way that people can connect directly with you and Tim and your team there at Cinch?
um, shoot us an email at info@cinchccm.com. We love talking to agencies. We just, it's like kindred spirits. I think once you've done it, you understand. And yeah, just send us an email. My email is gina@cinchccm.com. And we'd love to set up a time just to chat, just to see where you are, what you need. And
Awesome. And also people can go over to your website. We'll link that below. And then on that website, I'm sure there's probably some type of connect, or a way to connect with you guys.
yep, there's schedule a meeting with us. And there's a lot on our website. We have a lot, same thing, coaching, just what we've done, just strategies, webinars, just more information. So the more information you have, the better prepared you are.
Yeah, I love it. So like whether that they're needing coaching on what does it look like rolling into your first community, or whether it's saying, hey, I'm ready. Let's get this tool and off the ground running. You're there to support them every step of the way when it comes to community-based care. And I love that. And for the home care agency owners out there who are saying, I would love to do that right now, I'm focused on growing my home care agency. I'm scaling my home care agency. I am exploring diversified revenue streams. That's what we're here for at Home Care Ops and Action Leaders, and so that you have support every step of the way at every level of growth, whether you're at a million, 10 million, or 100 million. There's always something to learn. There's always revenue streams to that would truly enhance what you're doing in home care. And I know for me and Clint, we love being able to support others based off our experience. We've learned on our own and helping hundreds of other home care owners over the past 5 years. And um, Tim and Gina, I think you, Gina, I know you too are so dedicated and so committed to this industry and the home care owners, just sharing what you guys have learned and how you're helping others as well.
Well, we love it. And our mission is just to help agency owners have the tools to do it. That's it. That's because
I I love it. Our mission at Home Care Ops is to help more home care owners solve more problems. And I feel like that your tool is definitely one of those things that solved a lot of problems when it comes to making community-based care something that can operationally be one of the best revenue streams that you put into your business. So all right. With that being said, next steps, people let us know in the comments. Is there other questions that you're like, now I have this burning question? And I'll tell you, if you have that burning question about community-based care or about Cinch, reach out to Gina and Tim, and they will be happy to share their experience and introduce you to their solutions that they have. And then here at Home Care Ops, from me, Clint, Katie, Nicole, Amber, and Kevin, the entire team here at Home Care Ops, we are here to support you, here to help you solve those bigger problems, more problems, grow your business, more straightforward, more sustainable, and scale your business to new heights. And so, everybody, keep taking action.